And welcome to the chat on Newsday Amarillo and News Channel 10-2. I'm David Lovejoy.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rhonda Launert.
And I'm Chuckalicious, Chuck Williams.
And joining us this morning, one of our favorite people, Mr. Roy Shepard with ActionCOACH. We just saw a great Super Bowl game, and a lot of that was won by some great coaching. Some say it was lost by poor coaching. So coaching matters, and getting the right information to help your business survive is what ActionCOACH is about. Roy, how you doing this morning?
Doing fantastic, and honored to be one of your favorite people. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. We love it. Yeah, Rory's
made my day.
Guy. Yeah, Rory's a great guy. And
He made the list.
Some great information. Chuck, go ahead, sir.
Rory, we're talking about culture. Just how important is culture, and who's setting the tune for this these days?
So I would tell you culture is almost paramount to be successful as an organization. And if the leader isn't setting the culture, well, then somebody else is. And so if you want to be proud of the organization that you're driving and running, then you're responsible for the culture. And I have said for years, from a customer service point of view, that the level of customer service that you are giving your customers will never exceed the level of service that you provide each other internally. And so from that perspective, culture is key to giving great customer service. And so I need to be in an organization that we love each other, we take care of each other, and we're doing all the right things for each other, because that shows up on the customer service side. But it's not ever, the customer service is never going to be greater than the service we give each other. And so as a leader, I need to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to drive my culture in a way that feels good for the folks that work here.
We get those folks who say, I don't have to like you, I just have to get along with you. To me, that's kind of just, I don't know. I think maybe respect is the word you would want to look for, or not everybody at the workplace is buddy-buddy. They're not going to go hang out and have drinks after work, and that's okay. That's a fine dynamic, but you at least have to have respect for your fellow workers. Absolutely.
So Jonathan Reckford, he's the chairman of Habitat for Humanity, the International. He wrote a book 5 or 6 years ago now called Our Better Angels, where he lays out some virtues of leadership, and respect is one of the 7 that he lists in that list. I'll run through them just real quick, but kindness, respect, community, generosity, empowerment, service, and joy. But respect is one that we've got to have for our team, as well as our team needs to have for us. And when we lose, it's hard to gain and very easy to lose. So a number of years ago, I worked for Builder Square in San Antonio. Phenomenal organization. And right before I got there, they were a kind of a family-owned and operated business, only had 5 locations in San Antonio. And then over a 10-year period, kind of exploded and went from 5 stores to about 170 across the country. And we had our leadership team that had been, the founders and kind of that core group. And then over time, some of those guys started stepping out. And we had a guy that was a director of IT when I got there, that got promoted into the role of CIO. And there was a lot of pressure to open a new concept, lots of things going on, and there had been real estate delays and supply chain delays, all sorts of things that had kind of prevented that concept from opening. And we got to a spot where they picked the date for the middle of July. We were supposed to open in December. They picked the date for the middle of July. And Mike told the IT team, this is when we're going to open the store. And the guy that was responsible for the IT systems, his name was Bill Knotts. Bill said, hey, Mike, that's going to be a terrible day for me. That's my wedding day. I don't think I can be there. And Mike looked at him and said, I can't run my business based on your social calendar.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, talk about, you go from top of the line on respect to 0, like immediately.
Wow.
Oh.
Right? I mean, now I will tell you, as bad as that story is, Mike regained the respect of all of us, but that day respect level was 0. And
Yeah.
so I'd run through a wall for Mike Smith today. That day I would run completely the other direction, right? And so from a leadership perspective, right, we're all going to make mistakes. We're going to mess up, right? Over time, I mean, that's not who Mike was, right? He was just under a lot of pressure and did not want to miss on delivering on something that was a commitment, right? But when we get in those tight spots, that's when these virtues really show up.
Right.
And we have got to be, diligent to say, if these virtues are important to me, I got to live them every day. I can't just say until it gets a little bit tight and then I can be a jerk and it's okay. Got to live it all day, every day.
Well, speaking of leaders making mistakes and things like that, and we've got these virtues listed. But let's say you're a leader and you're in, let's say, mid-voyage with your team. How difficult is it if you figure out, hey, this is not going how it really should be going, this is where I mess up? How difficult would it be for this leader to turn the Titanic around?
Yes, that's a great question, Rhonda. And it starts with, I'll go back to Patrick Lencioni and his 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, a book he wrote over 20 years ago now. But, for a team to develop, it starts with trust. And I've got to have trust as kind of that core basis before anything else works. As a leader trying to take over or to move into a new role or try to turn the ship, I really need to start at results. And so I need to be very, very consistent in delivering on the commitments that I make to my team and driving results. And so if I say these are important to me, then I need to live them, and you need to see the kind of the fruits of my labor in delivering the results of love, care, concern for the team, or, the commitments that we're making. And I say, this is something we're going to do every week. I can't then go every second or third week and deliver that, right? I need to say, if this is important to me, this is the way we're going to work. And from the top down in that kind of Lencioni's hierarchy of going from results to commitment to accountability to healthy conflict to trust. And so as a leader, I build it from the top down, the team builds from the bottom up. And so for us, I think as leaders, we've got to say, these are the stakes in the ground that I'm going to set, and then I'm living into those and through those. And over time, your team will see those. But it is kind of like the Titanic, right? It's not going to be overnight, but I've got to be consistent and chip away at that over and over and over again.
But
Consistency is the key. We got to take a quick break. When we come back, one of the biggest and toughest things that we see businesses going through nowadays is retaining top talent. There's a lot of movement. The job market favors the employee right now. And you see a lot of movement in jobs. You see a lot of people changing positions. How do you keep those superstars on your team? We're back with more Action Coach right here on the chat on Newsday Amarillo and News Channel 10-2.